Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Behind the Numbers with the Wilsons. I am the only Wilson here at the moment, but the other one's coming back in because he had to restart StreamYard, the software we all use here on Substack to do our broadcasts. Folks, welcome to the Epstein Network. Donald Trump's numbers, as we say every damn week, don't seem like they could go any lower or he could be held in less regard with the American people. And yet, here we go. Andrew's new piece, Trump's worst month so far. The so far is the key element here.
Kind of my big question is, where do we go?
Yeah.
I don't. There's no way to, when presidents dip like this in polling, you saw it with Biden.
Mm-hmm.
There can be a recovery of a handful of points, maybe.
Yeah.
There's a small bounce back. It's possible. I don't know if even a massive bounce back would help Trump. So I think what's interesting about this, and I pointed this out earlier, is that you can see the disapproval overtakes approval in April, and that was Liberation Day. That was the start of the tariffs. And that is, when the vibe of the economy started feeling bad, and then you can see later in the year when the economy actually started doing poorly, it just gets worse and worse and worse. I think Trump's approval, you can tie it almost directly to what's happening with tariffs and inflation.
Yeah, that inflection point that you discussed of Liberation Day and things start heading south from there. Man, that strikes me as a real insight into something that has been underreported, frankly.
And they're walking back some of these tariffs to lower the price of food.
The food tariff is what Nutlick is trying to get rid of. See what I did there?
How do you square that? How do you square the idea of tariffs are great for the economy and then you have to relieve them to make things better?
It's nuts, is what it is.
It's nonsense. So, and Trump doesn't personally want to lay off of tariffs because he's so obsessed with them.
Right.
I think it's one of the few things he really believes in.
Yep.
But, he's going to have to back off if he wants to, fix the economy, which he won't.
Here's the thing, Andrew. I have a theory of this case, and I don't know if it's fully fledged yet, but I think there is a growing sense with Trump that he would almost like there to be a collapse in the second half so he can play the victim, play the martyr, say, it could have been the greatest president of all time. I was the greatest president, but all those libs and rhinos kept me from it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of rhinos,
at this point, it just feels completely self-destructive.
It is. Yeah. I think this is really interesting. Something's happening with Republicans right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
You see in March here, it says 81% of Republicans approve of Trump's management of the federal government. This was AP-NORC this week.
Yep.
And now it's down to 68%. Now, that is an absolutely massive number. I think
Andrew, isn't that the lowest approval he's had with Republicans?
Yeah.
I think it is.
When you break that out, I think it's only 12% disapprove and the rest are not sure. But that is still a significant number of Republicans who have gone soft on Trump. He's losing his base, and you can see it anecdotally online with a lot of the things that's been happening. The H-1B controversy, I really saw that roiling MAGA.
Yeah.
And there's no off switch. There's no release valve. It's just going to get worse and worse.
I think that's really something to consider here, is because his brand is fight, never back down. But sometimes in politics, you have to zig or zag or swerve or turn.
Right.
And an intelligent president with a competent staff would say, yeah, boss, we got to do a reset here. This ain't working. This is the bad stuff. And I think that there is a degree of stubbornness that is the reason why I'm hearing that a lot of White House staffers are like, I'm out, gotta go.
Well, stubbornness and senility go hand in hand.
Indeed. Are you trying to tell me something, Andrew? No, it's definitely reaching that level of of irrationality colliding with the damage. And you're right. At some point, a good president can pull out of the dive. I'll give you a couple examples. Bill Clinton pulled out of the dive. Not completely ever after the scandal, but he stabilized. Barack Obama stabilized. W did not stabilize. He basically, once the 2006 economic crisis hit, it never quite came back. He stayed at a pretty low level. Biden could not stabilize really at the end until the very end. There was a little uptick, a tiny uptick, but it really never quite undid it. But Bush and Biden were facing economic headwinds that they did not create on their own.
Right.
Trump has made all these things happen. This is his creation.
Right.
And there's nothing here that's an externality. It's all internal.
So this next bit from the Navigator research.
Go. This is my favorite slide of the day.
So you'll see nearly a third of Trump voters regret their vote or are disappointed. This really shows how soft the Trump coalition really was in 2024, which it's regrettable that we couldn't get to a lot of these people. We saw this with Hispanic voters early on, slightly earlier in the administration, where they flipped completely. They if they could take it back, they would have voted for Harris. But non-MAGA Republicans, right? 26% say they regret voting for Trump. If those folks had stayed home,
right,
this would be a totally different story.
Those are our people. Come back to the tribe. Come home to the Lincoln Project. Although
my prediction,
go ahead,
is that quite a lot of those non-MAGA Republicans who say they regret voting for him or are disappointed by him are going to stay home in the midterms.
I think that's right.
And you'll see those MAGA voters, that 84% who say they're not disappointed, they're not regretful. They'll show up to the polls, but they don't make up a sizable enough portion of the Republican Party to pull Republicans over the line in a lot of these places.
And without the offset of Trump on the ballot to pull them out, then we're going to see a lot of those lower propensity folks staying home. And if you even just look at the MAGA Republicans, you've got 15% of them who are telling us no, that they regret it. That is a cataclysmic change in the MAGA coalition, folks.
Yeah, and people, this often seems like small numbers when we're talking about the movement among Republicans, but 7 and 8% is absolutely enormous for MAGA Republicans because they have been stalwart from the beginning. On most issues they're 96%. So this is the the Trump coalition breaking down.
Yeah, it is a hard that is a hard, ugly knock in the head of the coalition that they really, really need to pump up and turn out for 26. So folks,
you look at what they point to, and those who regret voting for Trump are pointing to the shutdown as the real issue, which is no surprise in many ways, and then the economy. But this is his approval during the shutdown, and this is something I want to talk about a lot because
go through this.
Democrats fucked this up.
100%.
His approval rating was taking a nosedive during the shutdown. He went from -10 around the time the shutdown ended to -18. That is a nosedive. That is, it felt like a long time. It felt like a long shutdown, but losing 8 points in a month is massive.
Astounding how quickly. Yeah.
Why did Democrats give up?
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
You and I have talked about this on the show. We've talked about it offline. We've talked about it in every damn chat in Lincoln on our various Signal chats. The Republicans were taking the shutdown in the face every day, like a cast iron frying pan hitting them in the face every day. And the Democrats decided, oh well, we should stop because it would. We don't want them to hurt too much.
I'm sorry.
Unbelievable.
You heard this argument played out by a few people that Democrats wanted the shutdown and prolong the shutdown because they wanted to win these elections last week. that is a stupid argument. If you look at the outcome of these elections, they are lined up with Trump's approval in those states. They're almost exactly the same. Now, if you had held those elections on September 30th, for example,
we would have
the result would have been the
Senate.
same. It would have been the same.
Right.
So there's no logic to quitting the shutdown when they did.
So can we go back to that prior slide? I want to make one more point on that prior slide. If you look at the numbers on the Democrats, okay, going down from +4 to 0, that's inside the margins, folks. That's noise.
Tiny.
But if you look at Republicans going from 5 to -13,
that's massive.
From Trump -11 to -19, this was a clean setup. This was a win. This was teed up for a massive political victory. And these 8 fucking morons decided, oh, we're going to get a good headline from the Journal of Centrist Niceness or whatever.
And these people aren't even up for election next year.
Right.
It just doesn't, there's no...
It makes my brain throb.
And, this is, I think the risk that the Democratic Party runs here is that, they have a lot of their normie candidates, a lot of their, more centrist candidates get blown out by younger socialist or far left candidates. And the thing is that I want people to remember is not all of those candidates are going to be Mamdani. They might be losers in general elections. So I really think that Democrats have set themselves up for failure in some ways. In other ways, the current is taking them along.
The damage has hurt the Republicans. It will persist, but they could have laid in more licks on them as we go.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to that other slide and I'll let you continue. I'm sorry, I had a little divergence there.
So this is the blame for the shutdown.
Yeah.
From Navigator Research. Again,
Carolyn Levitt can spin this all she wants. That number ain't changing.
Why would they quit while they were ahead? It is just
snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
And Republicans, I said this in my piece this week. It was a Pyrrhic victory. They are now getting absolutely blown up by Epstein.
Pummeled.
Of course.
Oh, we're going to that, folks. Don't you worry.
Yes, don't you worry. So there was a lot of Epstein polling earlier in the year, and there's not been as much yet because this is really developing.
Yeah.
I think Trump is politically finished after this. The MAGA coalition hates it. Everybody hates it. It is really, really bad. So this was a previous wave of the Navigator Research poll earlier in the year.
Up to July.
Still strongly negative. And this was before we found out Trump had Thanksgiving dinner with Jeffrey Epstein in 2019 when he was president. I don't know. I've never invited any known pedophiles to my Thanksgiving dinner.
No,
it doesn't seem normal to me. This is going to be really, really bad for him. And then here we go. YouGov from this week. Most Americans describe Donald Trump as a close friend to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yep.
And I see a lot of people, MAGAs online, pointing to the fact that Virginia Giuffre said that Trump was never creepy with her. But clearly Epstein believes he has some sort of
no, there's no doubt about that.
Killer information for Trump. And clearly Epstein says that Trump knew about the girls. So this is not a mystery to him.
And by the way, that narrow window of people who think he's some sort of enemy of Epstein or that he ratted out Epstein and all that stuff. Even Kash Patel says, no, Donald Trump's in no way did he report Epstein to the FBI.
And, just for the record, the way you become an informant for the FBI is they catch you doing a crime.
So correct.
That's just let's just correct out there.
Yeah, there's not a lot of walk-ins for that kind of thing.
No. Yeah.
And even look, as always, Republicans are gonna wait till the last to break. But when 8% say he was involved in crimes and 25% of Republicans aren't sure, that's not where Donald wants to be.
No, definitely not. And this is not getting better.
No.
this is getting worse. I mean, the what's been released this week was shocking.
Yeah.
I was honestly, my jaw
it
was on the
vile.
floor.
Yeah.
Vile. And, clearly Trump had a ongoing relationship with Epstein during his presidency.
Including with one of, including at a level where he felt it powerful enough an ongoing relationship to advise the Russians how to manipulate Trump. Gee, folks, do you think he was advising the Russians by saying, Donald Trump's trade policies are no, he was advising the Russians by saying, he likes the little girls.
And that Russian ambassador that Jeffrey Epstein was advising,
Lavrov.
He's now dead. No, not Lavrov.
No, not Lavrov. Yeah, the other guy. Right.
It starts with a C. He's now dead. And you can imagine it probably had something to do with falling out of a window.
It is a common cause of death in Russia.
It just so happens. It makes you wonder, like, what is going on with Ghislaine? All this stuff about her special treatment.
Yeah. Listen, I got to tell you, Ghislaine they have treated her like a queen in prison for a reason, because Todd Blanche made a deal with Ghislaine. He walked in that room, and you notice when you read the transcript of the Blanche Ghislaine interview, she is like, no, Donald Trump was always a perfect gentleman. I never saw Donald Trump anywhere. Todd Blanche and her lawyer are friends. They made a deal ahead of time. It was a kabuki dance interview. And now these emails, just these emails, show that Todd Blanche knew she was lying, let it go, and then sent her to club fed, cushy, country club prison.
She's a puppy.
She's a puppy. She's a puppy
in prison.
Hey, you send me somewhere where there's 3 hots and a cot, and it could do yoga and play tennis every day, and I get a puppy. That's a fucking resort. That's not a prison.
Yeah. What is this, Sweden?
Right.
Right. It is. I don't know. This stuff is, and I texted this to you the other day.
Yeah.
It's no wonder that Epstein. It's not a coincidence that Epstein was at the center of all of MAGA's conspiracy thinking from the beginning.
Of course.
That is because the Epstein story is the original accusation as confession.
Correct.
That is what we're dealing with.
Yep.
And it couldn't be more obvious now. Of course, it was evident somewhat then, but it's clear.
But Andrew, when you think about it, this myth persisted until February of this year, when Pam Bondi had those MAGA influencers to the White House. And when she had them given their special notebooks, that myth persisted right up until then. And now, man, they are backpedaling furiously.
The story, and what's so funny to me is I was reading a lot about the emails this week, and one thing you heard Republicans say throughout the year was, we can't release the Epstein files because there's a lot of people who could be hurt by what's happening.
CSAM material, all that stuff.
Of course, they weren't referring to victims. They were referring
to
people
Donald
like
Trump and all
Larry
of his
Summers,
rich friends,
Steve Bannon, etc. So it's what can you infer?
It's a straight line of inference in this case. It's not even second order inference. It's right there. Speaking of right there, I mean, we have to look at one other fact about the political leadership in the country, I think, right now. And that, folks, you can't rely just on the Epstein story to get to 2026. It's going to hurt them. We're going to use it because it does hurt them, and it is the right thing to do to expose this. But the Democratic Party is led by the weakest minority leader by far in our lifetimes. Chuck Schumer is not a popular leader.
Chuck Schumer should resign.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Yeah. Listen, he's either incredibly weak and he can't whip his caucus, or he's devious. I think there was a Republican senator who I can't remember his name, who lined this up. He essentially said that Chuck was going to make a backroom deal with a certain number of senators to say, cover my ass.
Yeah.
Let me get out of this without too much damage. Well, the collateral is
Yeah,
taking him down.
I will tell you, Andrew, that his reaction to being told he should resign and that people are mad at him, I know for a fact, I've talked to 3 separate reporters who he has called and bitched at and yelled at, and commentators he's bitched and yelled at in the last few days. Like, how dare you? I did the best I could. Well, if that is the best you can fucking do, don't do it anymore.
Don't do it anymore.
Let somebody else step up. There are other leaders who are younger, sharper, and more competitive and aggressive in this case than Chuck Schumer. And he has proven, like you said, he's either devious and made a deal with his 8 senators to betray the cause, or he's dumb and doesn't have control of his caucus. Neither one of those is a good look.
No, it's not. And it's thinking back to past Senate leaders, he doesn't match up to, of course, Mitch McConnell. Not even anywhere close to Mitch McConnell at his peak.
He's not a Harry Reid. He's not even a Bill Frist.
No,
he's just not good at this work.
He's not good. I feel like he's landed here because he has some sort of seniority and it's just
the "it's my turn" stuff with Democrats is killing the party.
Yeah, and that trickled down from, we saw that with Clinton and Biden, and it is not a good recipe. It's not a recipe to win.
Hillary Clinton, yeah.
Hillary Clinton, yes, yeah.
No, it really is not. And folks, as the ex-Republicans in the room, we advise you these things not because we think we should run your party. We advise you these things because we know how the other side works and how they will destroy you. And they played Chuck Schumer. John Thune played Chuck Schumer like a fiddle.
But here's the thing. Any rube off the street would have known that John Thune's promise was totally empty and BS. I don't know.
Check is in the mail. I won't blank in your blank. All that stuff. It's just astounding.
How do you fall for that? It's gullible.
I have a new theory. I'm like Isaac Newton. I come up with a new fundamental principle of politics every 5 years or so. First was ETTD. The second was the Ted Cruz rule. And the third one is, I'm going to write it up more elegantly, but it is the more corrupt and dark and devious Republican behavior is, the more Democrats proportionally want to have a bipartisan compromise with evil. I like I said, I'm gonna phrase it more elegantly. I'll get it to a body in motion stays in motion. But it is every time the Republicans say, "Hey, by the way, we're going to engage in evil and burn down the village," the Democrats say, "You want that?" So what you're saying is you want a bipartisan compromise.
And it's just how do you imagine that they are telling the truth or are going to follow through on this deal? Have you been watching Fox? Have you been thinking Mike Johnson is some sort of sincere actor in
right? He's good faith actor. No matter how much, the worse the bad faith actions of the Republicans, the more the Democrats seek a bipartisan compromise. There you go. But I mean, and you look at it. You look at it with the result I think is going to happen. You watch, guys, folks, mark my words. Donald Trump has signed this thing, and in a week or 10 days or whenever it is, Russell Vought will get in his ear and say, Mr. President, those lazy Negroes don't need that SNAP benefit anymore, because that is all the coding that they're using, by the way. They're using racial coding on SNAP every day. It's like, those lazy people buying lottery tickets and malt liquor. Oh, no, that's so subtle. How could I be confused by that message, White House? They're
you saw
go
that
back and cancel SNAP again. You fucking watch.
Yeah, you saw the flood of fake AI shit during the shutdown about SNAP. Yep. And it was a woman from Atlanta, saying how she sells her SNAP benefits.
Right.
Of course it's bullshit. Of course it's fake.
Of course it's bullshit.
But there will be 10% of people who think that's real. We should get rid of this stuff.
Yeah, just like this morning, Mike Collins, a U.S. Senate candidate for the Republicans in Georgia, puts out an AI video that is a lookalike of John Ossoff. And it's Ossoff saying, I obey Chuck Schumer. I'm lazy. I go to Hollywood and New York for my money.
Jesus.
And he's like, I've never seen a farm. I don't go to farms. I just want to say this about AI stuff, folks, because right now I'm being the victim of an AI impersonator. Because they're putting out like 3 videos a day of me with over 1 million views now. It's crazy. It really will irritate you when it happens to you. I just have a message for Mike Collins and his campaign in Georgia. You opened the door. We're going to close it. You open the door. You are not going to like what comes through the door next.
Don't play with fire.
Do not play with fire, especially with us, because what are you going to do? What are you going to do, Mike? Be mad?
The Democrats won't.
Tweet something angry about me. By the way, the other thing I wanted to bring up before we close, I know we're running up on time. There is a civil war, as you guys all know, brewing in the Republican Party between the normies, the Trumpian worshipping MAGAs, and the Groyper, Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson wing of the party. Today, Tucker is pushing out material about what he now calls the alleged shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania, of Trump. This should be a fun weekend, y'all.
I don't know about this. I don't know about this.
He angry. Tucker angry. He's like, I have new information. The FBI is covering up the truth about these alleged shooting. I'm like, oh boy.
Here we go. This kind of civil war, and I mentioned this earlier with the H-1B situation. That really pissed MAGA off. Trump saying in the Laura Ingraham interview that there's not enough qualified people in the U.S.
Qualified people, yeah.
Personally, I'm in favor of the H-1B visa because it is good for the country.
Of course.
I like to bring in intelligent people, but obviously we need to train more here. But that really set MAGA off. He's backing away from some of these more populist positions.
And look, he's about to go to war in Venezuela, which is not anywhere in the MAGA food chain of like things they want to do.
What, in 6 days? It's going to invade right before Thanksgiving.
The clock is running for Operation
Southern Spear. He called
Southern Spear. Hey man, how subtle of you to do a dick reference in your military operation naming.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Hegseth called it our hemisphere, so we're doing that again.
We're doing that again. It's the Trump doctrine. Lordy.
Great.
All right, folks. Andrew, thank you for doing this again. As always,
Sure.
Fun time. Great article today, folks. Check out Andrew's new piece on Lincoln Square today. Trump's worst month so far. That goes back to the old Simpsons gag. It's the worst day ever. Oh no, it's just the worst day so far. Yeah, it's the new signage.
I think the funniest thing I saw this week was someone saying that the gold touches were reminding of a strip mall Thai restaurant in the suburbs of Atlanta.
You know what? It does that is so the vibe, isn't it? My God, it's his playland. All right, folks,
Jesus.
We'll see you again next week on Behind the Numbers with more frivolity and hijinks as Donald Trump's numbers continue to asymptotically approach zero. Thanks again, everybody, for watching and for following us on Lincoln Square. Check me out on every podcast I do, because there are like 100 of them. We will talk to you guys again very soon. Thanks, folks.